How to earn the gold medal in Art of War Challenge 4. Coming up on Console Empires.
Welcome. In this challenge, you must defend several areas against enemy attacks. Choose the units that are best suited to fend off each enemy army, and try not to lose too many of your own soldiers.
Alright, so in this one, you gotta win 6 fights without losing a single unit. Some of these are trickier than others. In the first battle, we're facing scouts. This one's not too bad. You can just pick spears and do literally nothing to win the fight. But if you want to get the gold, you'll usually have to micro a bit to keep them all alive. In a real game, box formation works pretty well for fights like this with small groups of units, but for this challenge, splitting the spears as they engage actually worked more consistently for me. Having 2 spears fight a scout together, it works well for this. 1 or 2 will get weak, so be ready to pull them away. Here, I've just zoomed in and I'm watching the one that got hit first to pull them away manually. But you can also select injured units with selection filters by holding B and pressing up on the D-pad. 1 down. This next one's a little bit trickier. We're up against archers this time, so you'll want to pick skirms. Scouts can work too if you want to go that route. Going for box formation this time. To pick a formation, you'll hold Y with your unit selected, then use the D-pad. Up for staggered, down for box, left for line, and right for split. If you just tap Y without the D-pad, your units can alternate between split and line. So what I'm trying to do here is move laterally to dodge some arrows between the shots. And as you can see, my micro is far from perfect, but I am managing to dodge a few here and there. And sometimes that's enough. Surviving for just 1 more volley than you otherwise would have can turn a fight. Skirmishers have a lot of pierce armor, so you can tank quite a few shots before you lose any. Once you've killed the first couple archers, it's pretty hard to lose this one, even if you just stand still. Round 3. This one is by far the easiest part of the challenge. Just pick scouts and you're good to go. No micro nerding required. In this fight, you just want to press X to attack move towards the enemy, and your scouts will win without taking any losses. You can patrol as well, and it pretty much does the same thing. It's harder to do that with a controller though, because you have to select it from the wheel. The difference between the two is that patrol returns your army back to where it started, and you can use it to make units stack on top of each other. Attack move wasn't in the original game, so a lot of players will just say patrol when they mean either one. They're pretty much interchangeable. Alright, so hope you're ready. The next one's the toughest part of this whole challenge. So if you notice, I've been quick saving in between these. That's because I was having a lot of trouble with the men-at-arms and wanted to be able to just load my save file without having to do the whole thing over and over just to practice that part. Gotta go with archers here. Scouts or your own men-at-arms can win the fight, especially if you take advantage of the hill, but if you want the gold medal, archers are the way to do it. So archer micro on a controller feels completely impossible at first, but it's really not too bad, especially if you use stop micro. So what I'm doing here is tapping both bumpers while I'm retreating. How this works is that each time a unit on attack stance is idle, it will try to fight the closest enemy it can see. So when you press stop, the archers will fire. This is so much easier than selecting individual targets, but comes with a disadvantage that your archers will sometimes shoot multiple targets and won't prioritize low HP. Shooting multiple targets at the same time actually can be what you want sometimes in late game fights when you've got a big enough mass that overkill is becoming a problem, but here it's just frustrating when you see that low HP man-at-arms surviving several volleys that could have killed him, and then he gets a hit on you and then you have to restart again. So a few more tips for this fight. Try not to stop when you're on the downhill, and then don't turn too sharply. Making shallower turns helps maintain a little bit more distance between you and the men-at-arms chasing. There's no time limit either, so don't worry about running out further before shooting to ensure that you don't take damage. It's not like in a real game where you're trading your attention here against paying attention to something important elsewhere. You can just nerd this one out as long as it takes, even if you're running back and forth up that hill for an hour. Man, I've got like 1 HP on that archer in the front. We gonna get it? We gonna get it? Gonna get it? Gonna get it? Ooh! All right, there it is. That was like take 40 before I got this one. Man, that one was tough. All right, 2 to go. This next battle, it's pretty much the same thing, but a lot easier. Spearmen have pretty much no attack compared to men-at-arms, so you can be way more aggressive here, stopping to shoot more quickly. Same idea though. Just tap LB and RB while you run away from the spears, and watch the pointy boys melt. Men-at-arms or skirmishers could also win this fight, and skirmishers do get bonus damage against spearmen, so if you want to practice with skirms here, that'll work too. Alright, no losses so far. Final battle, let's go. The final unit standing between us and the gold medal Full trash comp, spearmen and skirmishers. So in a real feudal age, you probably won't see this many spears all that often. Spears and skirms both cost food, so you're delaying castle to make them, and without getting a unit that can actually do a lot of damage, or that you'll benefit greatly from upgrading immediately when you get up. Spending production time at your range, especially on not archers, means you'll have fewer crossbows to upgrade when you reach castle. So double men at arms would be the dream comp in this one, as swordsmen shred both spears and skirmishers, but you can only pick one. So I went with men at arms and skirmishers. Scouts also could work, you just have to kite them away from the Borny boys, which is a little bit tricky in a narrow choke point like that, but certainly doable. The skirmishers really aren't that dangerous, so I just patrol the men at arms in and let them fight while I focus on the skirmishers. Looking back over here, I've got one man at arms, he's a little weak, let's pull him away just to be safe, but the fight's pretty much won at this point. The men at arms are just going to mop up what's left here.
Good job. The enemy has been defeated, and this area is now under your control.
There we go. Gold medal. 6 fights won, no units lost. Thanks for watching. See you next week.